For some reason, millions of people have lost sight of the fun of collecting sports cards and instead are chasing perceived value. And I don't understand exactly why, but I think I know the answer. And one of the things that if you want to collect sports cards and actually not go bankrupt anymore, again, you're spending way too much money on your cards, is you have to know why cards are worth what they're actually worth. There's a reason why this 1952 Mickey Mantle 9.5 SGC card sold for $12.6 million. There's a reason why. And if you don't know that reason, then you're going to overspend on all of your cards, no matter what they are. And if you want to understand the real value of cards and stop spending money on cards that are not going to be worth more in the future, then stay with me. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Doc Schwartz, and if you're new here, this is the channel for sports, sports cards, and life. And I'm kind of combining two here. So this is going to be sports cards and life. So one, what's the sports card hobby all about? Is it fun or is it about chasing value? And two is actually figuring out value and a couple other things. And so I have my notes so that I go over everything. I want this to be a very important video for you if you are collecting sports cards, because unfortunately I see this real trend going on where people are just overpaying for cards thinking that they're getting a great deal. And I'm like, you're not getting a great deal. I don't know what's going on. And I've done a video with Alex Efron, who started Collectors MD. If you're not aware of that, please go back and watch that card addiction interview. I think it's huge. We do need more protections in the hobby. So, basically, Alex, a big thanks to you for coming on. But here's the first piece. So there's three main ideas that I want to get across. So the first is bias, the second is misperception, and the third is relative value. So let's go over bias first. That is, there are three main biases in the hobby, have been there pretty much the whole time. Like, this isn't different from back in the day. Again, I started way back in the 80s. This has been the way it's been. So, this is not something that's new. But the first bias is modern bias. There's always a modern bias in the hobby. And what I mean by modern bias is that the new players, the ones that are the rookies, the hot prospects, there's always a hype behind them. And so value chases hype. That's never been, I'll put it this way. So here is, and I'm going to show cards throughout. So this is one of my Greg Jeffries autograph cards. Again, I got this autographed by Greg himself. And back in the day, back in the 80s, Greg Jeffries was one of the most hyped prospects for the New York Mets. And so his cards went through the roof. Great. We've got another one who actually retained value. See if I can find it. Here we go. Yeah. So this is, and everybody knows this one, that's the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. When it came out, hype was high. And because he's a Hall of Famer, 500 homers, and his value has actually kind of retained, not as much as it was when it first came out. And a lot of you have argued as to how much it actually was worth. Beckett Guide said that card was worth about $150. I sold it to dealers for $200, and they were trying to resell it for $300 and $400 to collectors. And, did they sell a lot of them? No, because $300 and $400 for one card back in 1980 was a lot of money, and most people were not willing to spend that kind of money. But they were selling a few of them, and so they were able to recoup what they had paid me. So again, that's the point, is modern hype. So that's one bias. The second bias is PSA bias, and you guys all know that. If you have, let's see, we have one here. So here's one. So, if we were to look at, so this is a PSA, this is an SGC. PSA is worth more than SGC. Why? Nobody knows. It's just bias. That's literally all it is. It's the same card, right? Same card. It's just the slab that it's in. So this plastic is worth less than this plastic. I don't know about you, but this one's a little thicker than this one. And, I mean, why would that be the case? Again, it's just bias. So we got those two things. And then the third is there's a bias towards baseball cards, although modern now there's a bias towards football cards. So modern football is starting to replace baseball as the bias. And probably because of, the fact that the NFL is so much more popular than baseball. And then two, you have the kaboom craze. And let's be honest, that's kind of what's driving that bias. More people want football cards than want baseball cards right now. It's just the way it is. So those are biased. So if you have baseball, unless the top players like Shohei or Aaron Judge, nobody wants them. Nobody cares. Nobody's going out and spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on Cal Raleigh cards. They're just not doing it. Why? Because people would rather have, National Treasures Justin Herbert than a Cal Raleigh, because football is becoming much more popular than baseball. So there's a shift in the hobby, but it was always towards baseball cards. Literally, if you go back into the olden times, pre-war, again, people don't care about football as much as they do about baseball. All right, now what's the second thing? Misperception. So we got bias. There's the three biases. You got modern, PSA, and baseball over football. Now you got misperception. And so the first misperception is short prints. Now, what do I mean by short prints? I'm going to ask you, what do you mean by short prints? There's a reason why the 1952 9.5 Mickey Mantle card is worth $12.6 million. I'm going to argue, I would say it's worth around $12 million, which means you could go up to 12.6, you could go down to about, 11.5. It's around 12. Absolutely. I agree with that valuation. I think it's worth that. But the reason why it's worth that is because there's one. Did everybody hear that? There should be silence in the balcony. There's one 1952 9.5 in the world. How many short prints are there? Yeah. So here's what I'm going to say. If you think that short prints are worth a lot of money, and if you think numbered cards are worth a lot of money, and you think kabooms are worth a lot of money, then how come you don't think that these cards are worth a lot of money? Now, this is the gold Jose Canseco star card. Now, before anybody goes, well, but it's a star card. Well, no, Michael Jordan, a PSA 10 star card, according to everybody else, is worth $100,000. I didn't say that. You guys said that. It's worth $100,000. So you love star. So this is the star, Jose Canseco. This one is the Roger Clemens. Again, gold set, and it only printed 1,500 of them. This is a short print, and yet you don't think it's worth any money. Why not? These are the two most popular players from the 80s. There are more than that, but these are two of the most popular players from the 80s. They're not in the Hall of Fame because, well, obviously he didn't have the whole career and steroids and all that, and he also is a major jerk and nobody likes him, and so, he also has the steroid problem. So they're not in the Hall of Fame, so, okay, fine, but, I'm selling this whole set. Again, there's multiple cards for $25, and I'm selling this whole set for $20. Okay, $20. Why would that be if the kabooms are worth thousands of dollars? Why would that be? There's less of these than there are of kabooms. There's less of these than there are of kabooms. So start thinking about, wait a minute, if it's a short print, how come short prints back in the day are not worth that much? And that's what, that's the piece. Where are we going with this? There's a misperception about short prints. There's a misperception about what's going on. And if you don't recognize the misperception, you can actually overspend for your cards. That's what I'm saying. That's all that I'm trying to get across, is that there's a misperception there. Now, the other piece of this is scarcity. Again, the 1952 9.5, there's one. Your cards, they're not one. This will go back to this card. So this is worth, okay, this is ungraded. What is this worth? Right now, it's worth about $60. It has sold for as much as $75. For an ungraded, okay, do you know how many there are of this card? There's rumors there's 4 million of them. That's what the rumors are. 4 million of these cards. So what is your card worth? Let's go back to this one. So Ronald Acuna is not in the Hall of Fame. Okay? He's a great player. Absolutely. He is a superstar. Okay, so this is a PSA 10. This is a Ronald Acuna. How much do you think this card is worth? Right now, it's worth between 50 to 60 bucks. How much will it be worth in the future? Well, guess what? I think it'll be worth 50 to 60 bucks in the future. I think this is it. This card is worth what it's worth. That's it. Now, I got it in a trade. I sold a cello pack for a rookie card. So I sold that to someone else, and then I took that money and I went and bought this. I got it for, I think I paid the dealer $60 for it. And the reason is because he was a friend, and I was like, all right, here's $60. He was selling it for $75. So I got it for $60 because it's worth between $50 and $60. And again, sometimes I'll overpay a little bit if it's a dealer that I know, and it's like, here you go. Here's it's like a tip. Like, here you go. Thanks for the card. Here's a tip. So I gave him like a $5 to $10 tip on that card. It is what it is. But what is that card worth? It's worth between 50 and 60, and it's going to be worth between 50 and 60 from now on. That's it. That's what the value of that card. Unless something happens to Ronald Acuna and he doesn't make the Hall of Fame, then it might be worth less. But as long as he makes the Hall of Fame, that card is worth 50 to 60 bucks. I'm telling you, you can count on that. And this is the problem, is that we have these expectations that, when the player makes the Hall of Fame, there's going to be this bump. No. When they make the Hall of Fame, that actually solidifies the value. It's worth what it's worth, and it won't go down. That's what people need to understand. In the future, the values don't go up. It's called solidified. It's called a floor. The reason that Ken Griffey Jr., where is it? Here we go. The reason that Ken Griffey Jr. is worth all the money he's worth is because he's safe. That's the piece. Safety is what gives floor value. That's why Mickey Mantles won't go down. They may not go up, but they won't go down. And the reason they won't go down is because Mickey Mantle is safe. That's why I put out the top 25 recession-proof players, because they're all safe players. Now, I'm working on how to get that out to everybody in a much more efficient way. I was doing it through Instagram. To be honest with you, I think Instagram is horrible. I'm going to try to build a community where you can, or maybe even a Substack. Put it down below. Would you sign up for a Substack free that I can give out all this free stuff? So I created the Card Hoarder magazine. I created the recession-proof guide. I created all these things. Would you sign up for a Substack, again, for free, to get all this stuff? Because it's just too much work for me to go onto Instagram and then send you a DM, and it's just too much work. Literally, it's stupid. So we got to use technology in a better way. Now, how am I getting value? I have a ton of cards. For anybody that doesn't know my story, I had accumulated or collected, or whatever you want to call it, 8 million cards by the time I was 18 years old. Yes, I was a teenage hoarder. Not good. I had cards all over my parents' basement. I had 2 storage units filled with cards. I just had too much. And when you have too much, it's not a collection. You can call it a collection, but it's not. It's a hoard, because you can't even appreciate anything. You can't find it. You don't know what you have. You literally don't know what you have. And when you get beyond a certain amount of cards, you don't know what you have. Even if you have a spreadsheet, it's just too much to keep track of. And typically, and I'm going to say this, typically a PC that's over 1,000 cards is going to be unwieldy. If you have more than 1,000 cards, you don't know every card you have. You have to go back to the spreadsheet and go, do I have that card or not? You have to go back to the spreadsheet. So again, even at 1,000 cards, you're starting to get to an unwieldy collection. Now, I've said on this channel, if you buy and hold, that means you're a collector. If you never sell your cards, you're a collector. If you never sell your cards, you're a collector. And if you have more than 10,000 cards, you're a hoarder. That's my definition, because you cannot keep track of 10,000 cards. It's impossible. It's impossible. You don't know what you have. So anyway, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to use some of the cards that I have to trade into other cards, because I want to stop spending money on cards. Now, you might want to stop spending money too, and if you do, you can download, if you don't have Veriswap, you can download it with my code and get $15 free trade credit. This video is not sponsored. This is just the normal referral that they do, but I'm giving you the $15 because you're a follower here. Anyway, let's get back to the last piece, which is relative value. Well, what does that mean? Like, what is a card actually worth? I'm going to show you, this is Veriswap, so these are all, and the reason I'm showing this to you is because I want you to see all of the cards, especially modern cards that are, again, worth thousands of dollars. It's bias. It's modern bias. That's all you need to know. It's modern bias. It's got nothing to do with the actual value of the cards. You're buying modern. You're buying football. You're buying the hype. You're not buying the real value. And so this is where I'm going to start showing you. So here you go. Like, this is the most, iconic player ever. Again, not baseball and not football, so I understand value is going to be lower. But this is Wayne Gretzky's rookie card, okay? Now, this is a Topps. This is not a O-Pee-Chee. So you have that situation. So O-Pee-Chee is worth more because there are less of them, and this is the Topps, okay? But how much is this card worth? Well, in raw, the ungraded, it's worth less than $1,000. This is the greatest hockey player that's ever lived. Ever lived. It's worth less than $1,000. And you're spending how much for a kaboom? For a player that's been in the league for 2 years or 3 years? Like, seriously? Again, we're having a misperception of rarity and scarcity. These are both 1,500 printed. That's it. 1,500. This is a true short print. Your short print, your kaboom, your case hit. How many are there? 25,000? 50,000? Think about it. Think about the numbers. There's only 1,500 of these, and they're not worth anything. And you're spending thousands of dollars on a short print, on a case hit, that there's 25,000 of them or 50,000 of them. You see the relative value problem that you have. We're losing sight of the fun and trying to chase perceived value. You're trying to chase perceived value, not real value. Real value is real value. Like, what is the card actually worth into the future? What's it going to be worth into the future? Again, most of you like to call yourselves investors. Well, if you're investing, then you should be buying low and selling high. That's the keys to investing. If you buy high and sell low, you're not an investor. You're just sort of a sucker. Legitimately, right? Like, if you're buying high and selling low, you're just giving money away. So why are you doing that? You're not a very good investor. And so I'm trying to help people just have fun and stop chasing after perceived value. So what are these cards actually worth? And again, let's go back to a Hall of Famer, one of the best pitchers ever to play the game of baseball, and that's Christy Mathewson. So what is this card worth? Again, ungraded, it's worth around $1,000. $1,000. Ungraded. Now, I'm going to get this one graded because I think it might come back a 2 or even a 3, which would mean this card is worth a few $1,000s. But still, it's not worth what kabooms are worth. Like, crazy? Crazy, right? I mean, this card is over 100 years old. It's over 100 years old. Like, this is a real scarce card. There are not, 50,000 of these out in the world. There's not 50,000 of them. There's probably around 25,000. So this is a real short print at this point. And yet it's not worth as much as a kaboom. Again, this is what people need to start understanding. Your cards going into the future are going to follow the exact same pattern that those cards did. And I know that the Sports Card Investor channel, I know the Teapot, he loves to talk like he knows what he's talking about. I understand that. And it's not that he doesn't know anything, because he knows more than Jeff Wilson does. Like, he does. Like, you can tell, you're like, yeah, he just seems to understand things at a deeper level. Jeff Wilson's just running a channel. He's not a collector. He's not a real sports card collector. He's an influencer. So he's there to just speak. Like, that's it. He's the face of the organization, and he just talks. Does he know what he's talking about? Not really. Like, he gets it right about 10% of the time because he gets lucky. Most of the time, 90% of the time, he's wrong, because you're like, what? Like, how did you come to that conclusion? Because he doesn't know. He doesn't have the history. He doesn't do the research. He doesn't actually know what he's talking about. He just hears people say things to him, probably Teapot, and he gets influenced himself. And then he goes out and tries to influence you. So he's using information that's biased, that has perceived value with it, and then he's trying to give advice. It doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work for you. It works for him because he's running a business and he needs to sell cards, and you're going and overpaying for cards. It doesn't serve him to actually know what's going on, because if he knew what was going on, he would pivot his business quickly, and I don't think he'd be able to make as much money, which is a huge problem for everybody that's in the hobby right now, is that there's a lot of money being spent and not a lot of value coming back. Like, you're spending way more money for stuff that's not worth as much. So the only person that's losing in this transaction is you. The only person losing in this transaction is you. You're overpaying for all of your cards. You're just overpaying. And so that's where I think Veriswap becomes much more attractive at this point, because all you have to do is just agree on what the value of the cards are. So I'm not trading these kinds of cards. Like, these are my PC. Like, I have a Wayne Gretzky in my PC. I'm very happy about that. It's not going anywhere. But, like, let's say this card. So this is a Pete Rose autograph. Again, I got it autographed by Pete Rose myself. I sat with him. This is going way back. Like, I think it was 89 when I met Pete Rose. I mean, that's a long time ago, and obviously he's passed now. But, I sat with him, and, this is what I got signed. I got a whole bunch of other stuff, and I had a whole box of Pete Rose baseballs that he signed. Again, he held them, he signed them, and Pete has a very clean signature. You could, right there. I mean, it's clean. It's Pete Rose. Very easy name to write, and he had a very nice signature. And on a baseball, it looks pretty. So, but I sold those to a dealer. Again, got a nice price for them, and I was able to sell 100 autographed baseballs all at one deal. Again, I had 8 million cards, cards plus. Like, so, again, it's cards, memorabilia, jerseys, bats. Like, I have a lot that I'm trying to sell right now. If you're in Arizona, if you want a whole bunch of stuff, like, I have a lot. So if you're in Phoenix, Arizona, I have a lot that's worth around $6,000. $3,000. I'm trying to sell it, and I normally sell, when I do bulk deals, I normally sell at 50% on the dollar. So take a look at that. So it's a $6,000 lot that I'm looking to get around $3,000. Now I'm willing to take a little bit less cash in order to get some cards back as well. But again, that's what I do because I am trying to get rid of the hoard. And I know what everybody's going to be like, but you're not getting the max value. No. I'm getting max value for me. I'm getting max value for me. I have too much stuff, and I know what it's worth because I've comped it all out. That's actually why it takes so long to sell stuff, because I have to comp stuff out. I have to know, well, what is it actually worth? Because I have to take you into consideration, especially if you're buying it. You're probably buying it to try to make some money off of it, which means you need margin. And you can't make money off a 10% margin. It's just not going to work. If you're a collector, you'll spend 90% comps because you're like, yeah, I want to get a deal. But if you're a vendor, if you're a dealer, you need much more than a 10% window. Otherwise, you're actually going to lose money on the deal. And I know a lot of people get mad at people like Jeff Wilson or Card Collector 2 and all these other guys who buy cards at like 65% of comps because they're like, you're just ripping people off. No, they need the margin in order to make a profit because they can't sell it for 90% of comps. I mean, you're not overpaying that much. Again, all the cards are not worth what you think they're worth, but you're not going to pay full value for them. So, because it's not worth, like, you're like, yeah, I'm not, like, if it says it's worth $100, like, this is a good point. Like, so this is modern. Again, then this is not a high-end card. So this is, again, the dealer was trying to sell it for $75. No one's going to pay $75 for this card, but people will pay $60. Well, or $65. But if you're paying $60 or $65, he can't buy it for $60. Remember, he's selling it for $75. He can't buy it for $60 because then if he sells it for $60, he made nothing. And remember, he has to carry the stuff and he has to go pay for a table. And there's a lot of costs to being a dealer. He's got to make some money off this. So the only way that he can sell this card for $75 is if he got it for $40 or $45. Which means that all of you go, oh, he ripped off the guy that he bought it from. I mean, that's economics. Maybe people need to learn economics more in school. And again, I'm trying to work on, trying to fix the school system. There's a lot of things that people don't learn in school that would absolutely help them in the sports card market and in life in general. Like, you have to know real value. And this is part of the issue. So let's see if there's anything else. So what questions do you have? Like, let's do that first. What question do you have? Put them down below, and then we'll get to the last piece of this. So what are cards actually worth? How do you know what a card is actually worth? How do I comp cards? Because when you know the real value, you don't overpay. Unless you actually want that card. And I'm going to give an example of me overpaying for a card. Again, not big time, but I overpaid for this card. This is a Doc Gooden 2024 autograph. There are only, I think this is, it's a short print. Yeah, this is 4 to 25, okay? So you can see there's only 25 of these. Now, it's a short print, which only means that there's only 25 of them out there. That doesn't mean that it's worth more. It just means that it's just not readily available. If I like this card, I have to be aware there's only 24 more of them. That's it. So when I see it selling, I have to make a decision. Do I want it for that price or am I going to let it go? There's only 25 of them. And that's the psychology you have to understand. It's not that it's worth more. It's not. Because there's only 25, it's just not worth more. But you have to think, well, if I want it in my PC, now I have to make a split-second decision. That's what a short print really means. If you really want it, you have to jump on it because there's just not that many of them to buy. So that's the piece that's missing. What is this card worth? I'm going to tell you right now, I think it's worth between $15 and $18. What did I pay for it? I paid 21 bucks. So I overpaid. And in percentage wise, I overpaid a lot. If it's only worth 15 and I paid 21, I will overpaid for this card. Again, it's relative. It's relative, but there's only 25 of them, which means that I had to actually say, do I really want it or not? I'm very happy I bought it for 21 bucks. It's in my PC. I'm like, this is some of the cards that I'm displaying. These are my nicer cards. I'm happy that I have it. Again, fun. Happy that I have the card. But I'm not overpaying. I'm not paying $100 for this. And there are, I'll just put it this way. I would love to get a Keith Hernandez, autograph card. Like some of these modern autograph cards. I actually like the fact that, Topps and Panini and I like that they do these deals with the players to autograph the cards. I don't like the sticker thing. It is what it is. Look, I'm with you. Just sign the card. But it's very hard to get all these players coordinated to get these signatures. It's just hard. So I understand why they do the stickers. They can send them 1,000 stickers. They just sign the stickers. They send them back. And then they can just use those autographs as much as they want. That's what they paid for. They just paid for the signature. And then they can get it out. It's a much harder way of dealing with it if you have to send the cards out to the player or they come in. It's better if they come into the office and they have everything laid out and they just sit there for 3 or 4 hours and just sign everything. That's great. But when you do that, you have to have everything ready. When you just get the stickers, you can then put them on a card that you haven't even designed yet. You're like, hey, you know what? I want to do a Keith Hernandez card. Oh yeah, we got stickers. Let's just stick a sticker on it. You got to think about it from a manufacturing standpoint. That's the piece. So I would like to get a Keith Hernandez. What's it worth? Well, it's not worth more than that. Again, the Doc Gooden is worth 15 to 18 bucks. So what's a Keith Hernandez worth? Probably worth about 20 bucks. What are they selling for? Well, they're selling for 30. They're selling for 30. Why is Keith Hernandez worth more than Doc? Why? They're not. Maybe he's worth 25. Again, maybe, but not really. And there are some people who are trying to sell his autograph card for 50 or 60 bucks. They're not selling. I'm just going to tell you right now, no one's buying them for that amount. But people are trying to sell them. Why? Because they bought it for 25 or 30. So they bought it for 30 and now they're stuck because the card's not worth what they bought it for in the first place. And so they're trying to make money on the card. You're in the wrong card. And I think this is what's getting people stuck, is you're in the wrong cards to make money, or you're buying them at the wrong level if you're trying to make money. You're just buying them at the wrong level. So let's look at, here we go. Let's do these two cards. Okay, so here you go. These are two old school, so that's a Reggie Jackson 1970, okay? And that's also a 1970, okay? So you get two from the same set, 1970, Roberto Clemente and Reggie Jackson. All right, these are Hall of Famers, right? Greatest players. Clemente, you can't go wrong with Clemente, and you can't go wrong with Reggie Jackson. What are they worth? Well, ungraded, they're not worth that much. Unless you have real top condition. This Clemente's actually really nice. This Jackson, I would say, is probably about, if you were to get it graded as off center, I would say it's probably about a 3 or a 4. That's what I would say. This one might get a 6 or a 7. There's a real possibility this one could get a 6 or a 7. It is really nice. There's a ding on the corner, so probably would put it down to about a 6. That's the only thing that I could see. Again, so what's a 6 or a 7 worth? And so you have to kind of go, okay, well, if it's going to be worth X on a 6 or a 7, I need to buy it at what in order to actually get the value at the later date on a grade. So, and some people are trying to do this in reverse. They're going, well, it'll be a 6 or a 7, therefore it's worth this because it's a 6 or a 7. No. You can't do that. You can't try to go, well, it's not graded now, but if it graded, here you go. And it's like, that's not how it works. Well, I mean, you can sell it for whatever you want, and if someone is dumb enough to buy it in with that logic, but that's why I want you guys to subscribe to this channel, so you understand that you shouldn't be following that logic. You should not be following that logic. Like, that's not how this works. What's this card actually worth? It's worth in a raw, like, again, it's raw. It's ungraded. It's a nice ungraded, so you'll pay at the top end of ungraded. So what is an ungraded Roberto Clemente worth? It's worth under 100. You know, it's probably worth around 75 to 80 bucks. Again, a nice one. You don't know what it'll grade, which means if it's a 6 or a 7, it will be worth several $100s. So that's how you unlock the value. But if you pay too much for the ungraded card, you're not making money on the grading. So why do that? Again, I'm asking the question, why do that? Hopefully all of that makes sense. I'm trying to figure out a way to do videos that have broader appeal and like make more sense to more people and have more value. But if you have a suggestion, or if you have a question about the hobby, if you have sports cards, or life questions, any one of those three, please put them down below. Let me know, and I'm going to try to think about it and try to come back with a video that has more information, more value, and therefore you can enjoy what's going on here. I want to thank the 2,500 subscribers that are already with me. We're going to take this journey together. This is Doc saying, I'll see you tomorrow.